Good morning, class. Welcome to a new day of learning. We are going to start with science. But before we begin our lesson, we are going to look at a short video. Please pay keen attention to the words and what is being shown to you on the screen.
Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants. There's so much to know. Let's learn all their parts as we watch them grow. Let's learn about plants. There's so much to know. Let's learn all their parts as we watch them grow.
A plant starts as a seed that's under the ground. With help from water, roots will grow down. Then a stem will poke up straight into the air, and 1 or 2 leaves will start to form there. From that first stem, some branches will show, and then some more leaves. Upwards they grow, 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 grow.
Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants. There's so much to know. Let's learn all their parts as we watch them grow.
Next, flowers can grow. Inside of them, in the center is a pistil, surrounded by stamens. Everything keeps growing, branches, leaves, and roots, and then sometimes we'll even get some fruit. That fruit has seeds that fall to the ground. That's how plants make more plants. The cycle goes around, round, 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 round.
Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants. There's so much to know. Let's learn all their parts as we watch them grow. Let's learn about plants. There's so much to know. Let's learn all their parts as we watch them grow. Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants. Let's learn about plants.
Okay, children, after watching the video, what do you think our lesson is about? Yes, great answers. Yes, today we are going to learn about the different parts of the plant.
Right? And we can find them all around us. We have trees, we can even have the flowers that are in a garden, right? And they all have different parts that helps them to grow and stay healthy. Imagine a plant like a little house that has different rooms but does different jobs. Okay, here I have a diagram to show you so that you can have a clearer and better understanding. So let's start with what keeps the plants straight up, or what holds it into the ground. We have the roots, right? These roots grow like little fingers into the ground so that it holds up the plant, right? And what they do is that they keep this plant upright so that it doesn't fall down or fall over, right? And they also keep water and important food from the soil that is important to the plant. Next is the stem. The stem is the plant's body and neck. It grows up from the roots, right? It supports the plant, holding the leaves up high to catch the sunlight, and it also acts like a road, carrying water and food from the roots to the leaves and other parts of the plant. And since I mentioned leaves now, let's look at leaves. Now, what are the leaves there for? Well, the leaves are like the plant's food factories, right? They make food for the plant. Like how you need to eat your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, plants also need food to survive, but they do not eat that kind of food that we eat, okay? So instead of using sugar or flour to make the food. Plants use sunlight, they can use air, they use water. Okay? This is how they make their own food. And there is such a big word for plants making their own food, right? Okay? And then let's go up to the flowers. Now, I know that a lot of you have seen flowers before in different colors, right? Does anyone know what's the purpose of the flowers? Okay, I love your answer, right? Well, flowers are often the prettiest part of the plant, right? It's colorful, different colors, they're big flowers and small flowers, right? And they attract, right? And they have different colors and shapes also. Now, sometimes you'll be walking on the road, you would see a little plant with a little yellow flower, a red flower, right? And you would often see bees or butterflies, right? Now, this flower, or the purpose of this flower on each plant, right? It helps the plant to make another plant, right? So when the bees go onto the flower, they take up something called pollen. Now, pollen is tiny dust, right? That when a bee moves from this flower and goes to another flower of the same plant, it can make another plant, right? So flowers are very important in a plant. Then, of course, we have the fruit. I know most of you know what are fruits, and I'm sure that you know the different kind of fruits, right? I'm sure you can name a few for me, right? Okay, thank you. So fruit, right? They protect the seeds that are inside. Okay? And when we eat the fruits like bananas, like mangoes, right? Like what do we have? Star apples, watermelons, right? We often find the seed inside of the fruit, right? And when we eat that, we are helping the plants to make more plant, because when we eat our mango, we just throw it on the roadside and we go on our way, right? And eventually over the years, a new plant is going to grow, right? So the fruit is an important part of the plant also. Okay, good. So let's go over the parts of the plant from the beginning. First, we have the roots. What's the root? We have the stem, leaves, and we have the flowers. Okay.
Okay, class. Now you are going to do an activity for us. You'll be given a diagram where you are expected to label the parts of the plant correctly. And this diagram is labeled as A, B, C, D, and E. So what you are expected to do, you will write the corresponding plant part next to each letter given on the right-hand side. So yes, you can begin. I'm sure everyone is finished. So the parts of the plant that you were expected to label, you have your A, which is the leaf, B, the stem, C, the roots, D, the fruit, and E, the flower. Alright. Good, so I'm going to mark your worksheets and I'm going to give them back to you in a few minutes. Now, when you go home, as your homework, I would like you to observe a plant in your environment and see if you can identify these parts of the plant that you have here. See if you can identify the fruit on that plant, the flower on that plant, the leaf, the stem, and the roots. It can be a plant that is in your garden. It can be a plant that you see on the way home or somewhere. You can find a plant and try to identify these parts that you learned about. So this brings us to the end of our lesson.